People have raced everything, whether it's been themselves, participating in types of sprints and relays, the horses and buggies, to the first automotive-style races on old horse tracks. Being in the driver's seat and having control of every aspect of the car with a POV view, knowing the feeling of the car, the ins, the outs, having that personal feel. Feeling the speed and the force of the car, having the adrenaline affect your strategy and judgment. A first-person experience, so to speak. We also love the grind and competitiveness and a social community connected with other enthusiasts of said motorsport. I think we have a love and get caught up also in the aesthetic though of these race cars and the draw of each class and variations. And sometimes though, I feel we get caught up in the racing in first person in general, that first person experience, so to speak. Whether it be money, transportation, lack of knowledge, or danger, or even health concerns, considering if you're not healthy enough to participate in certain physical and mental drains of the motorsport itself. But you still find yourself craving that aesthetic, that challenge, that feeling of social competitiveness that you get with the love of motorsports and motorheads. A third-person view of motorsports would be your answer. Even racers on off-seasons use this as well. Many racers from other variations of motorsports race scale motorsports, which is what I'm here about to be talking about today. I do a little bit of a behind the curtain of this hobby, and I hope you join me with this experience. Now, I feel when an outsider looks into RC racing, and all they see most of the time is grown men playing with plastic cars. And in a very blunt way, yes, they are toy cars. But in a realistic sense, it's way more to it as well if you really break it down. I mentioned before the term scaled motorsports, and that's exactly what it is. These are cars. There's no way around it. The same physics and adjustment used in real-world applications for full-size race cars apply to these, and they go as follow. Just to name a few. Weight, tire setup, camber, caster, toe in, toe out, droop, turn radius, shock oil, which would be like your shock absorbers, etc., whether they are controlled with more or less shock oil, which can contribute to softer or stiffer springs, ball diffs, gear diffs, and then different gear and diff oils, which can also contribute to grip on certain track conditions. Whether your tires are wearing right, the prep, the braking of the diffs properly, your electric staying at optimal temperatures, these are just a few things that you have to deal with and challenges with these race cars. It sounds like a lot, but just know these kits nowadays make a lot of accessibility into the tuning compared to past years. And they have even tech sheets now that you can download from manufacturer pages for different track conditions or even specific tracks to be in general. So with this, manufacturers research and develop these race cars for months, sometimes even years, to make sure racers have a durable, easy to work on, and most importantly, fast race car down that track. I'm going to continue with informing you of different classes of the off-road racing. Mostly just because that's what I'm kind of familiar with is off-road, but there are a few other classes I will mention, or types of racing segments that I can also mention as well. For example, for 110 off-road, the most popular classes are as what follows: short course truck, stadium truck, two-wheel drive buggy, four-wheel drive buggy. Of course, there's modified and then there's stock variations of these, but for the most part, those are the big ones. Sometimes they race a 1/10 four-wheel drive truggy or a four-wheel drive short course truck in 1/10 as well. 1/8 scale, you have an electric buggy or a nitro buggy, which is a 1/8 scale, or e-truggy or a nitro truck. And that is your lineup for off-road. However, other variations of or segments of racing can be oval racing. You go to a local dirt track or oval track of any variations. For me, it's Genesee Speedway or um, Land of Legends or Freedom Motorsport Park or whatever, where you see dirt cars. They have following classes of sportsman, which would be their Mud Boss class, modified, which would be Traxxas modified, which is a different type of modified, late model, sprint, midget, or street stock. On road, I don't know much about, as well as drag racing, but if you are into road courses, example like Walkman's Glen or Sebring or stuff like that, they do make RC cars that follow and fit in that class category. And if you are into drag racing, these RC cars can get pretty wild, some of them even reaching mile per hour into the 100 mile an hour range. Now there's different types of tracks in off-road, all kinds of different conditions, etc. Loose dirt, sandy dirt, clay, carpet, astroturf, and even in Europe they utilize cork or wood tracks, which when I heard that I was actually kind of wanted to know what that felt like to kind of touch a cork track. I don't know, that'd be interesting. I have never been a fan of EVs. The soullessness of them, the quietness, the lack of life. These motors work like a ghost. The lack of DIY friendly also makes them feel a little bit more alien. Gas engines, however, have moving parts like a heart, breathes in and out, and roars a great roar. You can hop them up with simple science and basic simple tuning, and overall, are just something that I enjoy much better. However, if the EV platform was to ever take and copy from something, I feel like the RC community has so much to offer with tuning and performance. Right now I'm going to be giving you all the electronics that are being utilized inside these 1/10 off-road vehicles. Motors. Most of the time in racing, they are brushless. However, you will get some guys that do run brush stuff, usually in novice class. Brushless motors use electric current to generate power to rotate a shaft to a diff, which is connected to the drive shafts, which generates power to the ground. An ESC, which is the electric speed controller, acts as the brain between the battery and the motor, translating signals from your remote into precise power to control the motor's speed and direction, forward, reverse, brake, and throttle responses, as well as powering the receiver and servo. And then that leads us to the servo. Servos are boxes with gears that control a servo arm or servo horn connected to the front steering linkages or steering arms of your vehicle, allowing you to steer left and right. What gives that power and gives the whole thing control is your transmitter and receiver. An RC car receiver controller sends radio signals from the steering and throttle, while the receiver in the car interprets these signals and controls the servo and ESC. Transponder. Now, a transponder is just, if you're in any form of racing, so like dirt racing, motocross, anything like that, if they're not counting laps, like physically, like they're actually like physically counting your laps, this little box counts everything for you, takes it, and then even records times, records laps. It's a much needed thing to help and keep the RC program and racing program in an organized fashion. Now, the name of the video is Third Person Racer, and that's because, well, that's one thing this hobby has that no other racing event has. You have to utilize a new skill controlling your racing outside of your car, testing your brain, depth perception, as well as racing clean and being aggressive when needed. What line you're going to take, which will be harder and easier to find outside the car. Getting used to the power of the motor and the touchiness of servos, and like I mentioned before, now adding these variables with tuning, you have a full-blown race car basically, just scaled down. Therefore, driving skills, tuning, track conditions all play into a hard role to succeed in this hobby. Well, in conclusion, I want to finish this off with the popularity and the future of the sport. Overall, though, I think if you just did any research into the sport, you would quickly see the future of it and the popularity of it. with the groups and different competitive brands, TLR versus Team Associated and X-Ray, brand growth is growing majorly. Compared to where I was, there was only a few brands at the time. Now there's a lot of brands, and it can get kind of confusing and what to get, what not to get, and it kind of comes down to whatever your track is racing at the time. Another form of evidence for popularity is how many big races have been going on. There are some pro races where teams like TLR and X-Ray and Team Associated and all those guys, they will hire pro drivers to race at those events, and which is really cool. It's almost like a motocross thing, or like NASCAR or anything like that. And some of those guys do get paid, or they get discounts on parts. They get sponsorships. One study I was reading was saying that Radio Control is supposed to be getting a 14% increase from 2023 all the way to 2030, which is pretty significant in the sense of, you know, terms of growth. But all in all, I wanted you guys to really just check out the hobby. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or comment below. This was pretty short, just to kind of give you an idea of what this hobby is about and why it's challenging, and why some people might be interested in doing it or not doing it. But all in all, guys, I want to say thank you for watching this video. I have a couple more of these going on with different hobbies as well, and I will try to be a little bit more thorough with this. This was kind of a first time try, and yes, thank you all. Have a nice day. See you later.